Oh, that's right. We're keeping all the people in YouTube world waiting. I mean, I'm sure there was a large thousands of people out there who are wondering why is the board not online?
A room full of people. Guys, I'm so sorry.
Hey, how are you? Come on up.
Had a conversation with my wife the other day about being late is disrespectful. And I'm sorry. Sorry, guys. Tony, I recognize the name.
Meet you. All right. Well, we would spend some time getting to know you, but
I'm always punctual.
we're a little behind, so. So are we ready on your all's end? Everything good? All right, I'll call the meeting to order of the Putnam County Board of Zoning Appeals. Today is Thursday, November 14th. It is approximately 8 o'clock, and we will get going. Next item on the agenda is Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America,
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Hodge, will you please call the roll?
Tony Hodge here, Robert Stone Street,
Here?
Greg Mick,
Here.
we have a quorum.
Great. Next item we have is action on the September 12th minutes. Have you had a chance to review the minutes, Mr. Hodge?
I've reviewed the minutes, and I do have a handwritten revision under the section motion to adopt factual record and finding of facts. The last sentence, we have stricken everything before the term motion carried, and we were inserting all in favor, motion carried. So I would move that we approve the minutes as revised.
All right, can I get a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, motion carries. All right, citizen concerns. We have, other than the, well, I will sign the minutes. And just for the record, I am the presiding officer tonight because Jared Tully, the president, is not here. So as the vice president, I'm going to be presiding over the minutes. Let's skip citizen concerns, and we're going to just go to the public hearing. We have on the agenda tonight 2 applications, both by TA Operating LLC. One is for a variance and one is for a special permit. And it's my understanding, Mr. Call, that the special permit would be contingent on the variance. Is that correct?
Correct.
All right. I would suggest to my other colleagues here that we hold this public hearing jointly on both applications. We'll consider the variance first and then the public hearing second. Any concerns or objections to
No, that's fine.
that? All right. So, Mr. Call, if you'll please present a summary.
All right, thank you very much. TA Operating LLC submitted a zoning variance application request. The applicant requests a variance for Article 1700.17R1C of the zoning ordinance. This article states, "It shall be unlawful to operate a video lottery establishment within 600 feet of an existing establishment that already provides video lottery, within 500 feet of an existing religious institution, school, child care center, or public park, 300 feet from a business that sells petroleum products capable of being used as fuel in an internal combustion engine, and 100 feet from a residentially zoned district or residential land use." The applicant desires to be closer to petroleum sales and as well as another video lottery establishment closer than what is allotted in the zoning ordinance. The subject property is located at 4195 State Route 34 Hurricane, tax map 213, parcel 59.1, and is zone C2, high density commercial. Also, TA Operating has requested a special permit to locate the video lottery establishment in the existing truck stop at the same address. Again, the property is Zone C2, high-density commercial. You've already made the motion to hear the variance request and the special permit in one public hearing. State Code Authority, and tonight's discussion comes from West Virginia Code 8A-A-4, 8A-8-5, and 8A-8-6. Zoning Ordinance Authority comes from the following articles from the zoning ordinance. Article 150, definition of terms. Article 650, high-density commercial district. Article 1100, special permit uses. Article 1700, supplementary provisions. Article 2100, Board of Zoning Appeals. Article 1700.17, requirements for unique land uses. Letter R, video lottery establishments. Number 1, location of video lottery establishments. Letter C states, it shall be unlawful to operate a video lottery establishment within 600 feet of an existing establishment that already provides video lottery, within 500 feet of an existing religious institution, school, child care center, or public park, 300 feet from a business that sells petroleum, capable of being used as fuel in an internal combustion engine. Facts and the timeline relative to tonight's discussion. On July the 12th, 2024, on behalf of the applicant, TA Operating LLC, Mr. Matt Davis of Jackson Kelly, PLLC, submitted a special permit and variance applications. Along with the applications are accompanying documents that further detail their request. These were also submitted. The applications plus the disclosure statements and accompanying documentation are included in your packet as attachment A. As part of the applications, a map prepared for the applicant by surveyor Randy Brooks Crace was submitted. The map shows the location of the proposed video lottery establishment to be developed inside the existing truck stop, current petroleum product location, and existing location of current video lottery on parcel 79 of tax map 213. You can see that in attachment B. I've also provided you with an enlarged version at your table, as well as on the presentation board. Proximity to the proposed structure, residentially zoned districts within 150 feet, there are none. Religious institutions, schools, child care centers, public parks within 500 feet, there are none. However, business selling petroleum products within 300 feet, there is the one, which is the Travel Center of America, which is on the subject property. And video lottery establishments within 600 feet, there is one, which is Kelly's Hotspot at 510 feet to the southwest. West Virginia Code, let's just say the Putnam County zoning ordinance is more stringent than the West Virginia Code in all of these regards relative to the location of the proposed video lottery establishment. And you can see the West Virginia Code article as attachment C in your summary. The existing development has 55 regular parking spaces and 3 handicap parking spaces. Notice was mailed to abutting landowners within 250 feet on September 17th of 2024 and was legally advertised in the Hurricane Breeze on September 26th, 2024. Zoning map of the general vicinity is included as attachment D in your packet. The subject parcel is outlined, and you can see the C2 high-density zoning, which is red. To the north side of the parcel abuts Interstate 64 and Route 34. Across Route 34 and to the west are the Med Express and Verizon buildings. These properties are Zone C2. Additional tractor-trailer parking for the subject truck stop is located to the southwest, also Zone C2. McDonald's is located to the south and Zone C2. Putnam PSD has garage and storage facilities to the south, and these are also Zone C2 and I-1, light industrial. Frito-Lay Distribution Center is located to the east and is zoned I-1. Photograph of TA truck stop from Google Earth is included as attachment E. The subject property is not mapped within FEMA's mapped 100-year flood hazard area. The proposed video lottery establishment intends to maintain operating hours of 6 a.m. to 2 a.m. daily. Number 10 in your facts and timeline references previous special permits for video lottery establishments that were reviewed and approved by the Board of Zoning Appeals. On October 25th of 2024, a notice of public hearing was placed on the subject site. Article F in your summary is Chapter 5 of Findings and Conclusions of the county's comprehensive plan. As usual, you have a variance worksheet and a special permit worksheet in your summary packet. As a reminder, we will need to consider the variance first, and then if the variance is granted, then the special permit request. Thank you, sir.
A couple follow-up questions. You went over the special permits that had been granted before. Has the board granted any other variances to this provision?
Let's see here.
I didn't see it in your report, but
I have special permits, but I do not have a listing of variances relative to this.
all right. Were any written public comments submitted in response to the advertisement?
I do not have a record of that, no.
Any other questions from board members for staff?
I don't have.
Okay. All right. We'll move now to the phase of the hearing where we will receive comments from the applicant. Is there a representative of the applicant present?
Oh, yes, sir. My name is Matt Davis. I'm an attorney with Jackson, Kelly, in Charleston. Oh, I'm sorry? Oh, of course, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's a little awkward.
Last time I was here, I stood up there. It was a little awkward. So
That's the way we normally do it, but
Yeah.
it's fine.
As I was saying, my name is Matt Davis. I'm an attorney with Jackson, Kelly, in Charleston. I'm joined this evening by Greg Cullison of TA Operating LLC. I'm here on behalf of TA Operating in Wheeling Coin. As Mr. Cole mentioned just a few minutes ago, he stole most of my thunder, so I'll keep this brief. Certainly out of respect for everyone's time, but also I don't want to just be redundant and repetitive. I would, however, like to go up to 10,000 feet and just say, again, I'm here on behalf of Wheeling Coin, TA Operating. We're here to ask for 2 variances and a special use permit that will ultimately allow us to operate licensed video lottery or LVL machines at TA Operating's truck stop just off of Route 34. We have a map. I'm happy to give a map orientation if you'd like, but you guys are probably very, very familiar with this part of the world, so we can skip that if you'd like, whatever you prefer.
Would you like any?
I'm familiar.
Okay.
I'm good.
We're good.
I thought you might be. One thing about the map, in my applications, or excuse me, in my application for the variance, the request for the variance, we noted that we are 575 feet away from Kelly's hotspot. Now, the map that's on that chair right now says 510 feet. 575 feet is accurate. I did have the surveyor go out in September, excuse me, the map that's currently, before the board is based on a survey that was taken, I believe, in September of 2022. I did have the surveyor go back out in September of this year just to verify that we have that nobody's built a daycare like close to where we hope to place these machines. He did certify a new survey. I didn't really intend to refer to it tonight because there were no substantive changes, no businesses that would have triggered, another variance request or anything like that. However, the new map, and it is certified, does say 575 feet as opposed to the one we have right now, which says 510. I just want to emphasize 575 is accurate. So essentially, as Mr. Call said, we have section 1700, 17R1C of the Putnam County zoning ordinance, which mandates 600 feet of space between LVL operators. We are asking for 575. Aside from that, the only other thing I'll add is, it seems the overarching concern the board is supposed to address when you consider applications for variances, and I would say this, it seems to apply to special use permits as well. The overarching concern is whether the request, if granted, would harm the public health, safety, and welfare. That seems to be what granting or denying really hinges on. In this case, we see absolutely no harm, no detriment to the public health, safety, and welfare. I'll emphasize with respect to the variance as well as the request for a special use permit, what we're asking for would not lead to any new or novel use of property in this part of the world. I believe Kelly's Hotspot has representatives here tonight. They've been operating, this type of business, LVL machines, for quite some time in this area. So again, it's not what we're asking for, if our requests are granted, would lead to no new novel use of property off of Route 34. It wouldn't even alter the type of business that's currently taking place off of this part of Route 34. And with that, if there are any questions, I'm happy to address them right now. I'm not sure if we, if I stand down until public comments take place.
We will have some questions.
Okay.
With respect to the map reflecting a 575-foot distance, do we have anything in the written record that reflects that? Do we have a copy of that map?
I have a copy of the map here with me this evening. The applications actually reference 575 feet, not 510.
Okay, well, would you like to tender a version of that map or something written that reflects that distance?
Yes, sir, I would. If it pleases the board, I'll just set it up on the chair.
I mean, you can just mark it as
Okay.
Exhibit 1 to this hearing and tender it just so it's in the record.
Okay.
And we can do that whenever.
Okay.
But I just suggest we have something in the record on that. So do you intend to present testimony by your client? Is it Tullison?
Collison, K-O-L-O-C-I-N, Greg
Okay.
Collison.
Do you intend to present testimony, or should we ask you the questions?
I do not, but I'm happy to answer any questions. I
Okay.
may, if it's okay, I may step down and confer with Greg if necessary.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. So a couple questions. In the application, there's basically there's a number of criteria that we have to consider. There's 4 main criteria. Yeah, there's 4. We have to consider all 4 of them. One of them is that the requested variance arises from special conditions or attributes of the property which were not created by the applicant. And in the packet that I have in front of me, the response to that is this factor is not applicable. Can you explain what you mean by that?
It just didn't seem to apply to this type of request. It seemed like kind of a square peg, round hole type thing. Happy to, if there's anything in particular that the board would like to know here, I'm happy to answer questions, but it seemed like, when I read this, it seemed like the type of scenario where maybe you've purchased property that is somehow out of compliance and you say, I need to go request a variance or something along those lines. It did not seem applicable here, but if I misunderstood, again, I'm happy to address any questions.
Yeah, well, in our experience, or at least in my experience with this board, we've got to walk through each of those 4, and we've got to make a finding of yes on all 4 in order to approve a variance. And if we find no on one of the 4, we're supposed to deny it. And I don't, at least as the application sits, I don't see anything in here where I could find that there is some special condition or attribute of the property that were not created by the applicant, which would justify the variance. For example, we've granted variances for conditions for like a wedding venue, that just where the property lied vis-a-vis the road, it was a unique way the property sits, something like that would justify it. So I would invite you to address that
Yes, sir.
element.
I would be happy to. I think the special attribute that I can think of is it is, on State Route 34, it's a high-traffic area. We have, our TA operating has, operated a truck stop at that location for decades. Certainly didn't create any sort of conditions that have rendered it out of compliance. We're not like retroactively asking for a variance that gets us out of trouble, so to speak. I think the special attribute of the property is that it is uniquely situated, uniquely qualified to host these sort of machines and hopefully generate a substantial amount of revenue for my client and, of course, for the county.
I assume we have representatives from Kelly's here tonight? All right, and you guys will get a chance. Do you know whether they support your application or not?
I do not.
Okay, all right. Okay. Any other questions from board members at the moment while I'm looking through this? If you have a question, feel free to ask it. Yes. It's probably best to do that. I mean, he's an attorney, but it would not hurt, certainly, and you can place him under oath, and I'm sure that Mr. Davis would affirm that everything he stated before would be as if he were under oath at the time.
Yes, ma'am.
And Mr. Davis, I'll ask you that all of the statements that you made prior to just being sworn when you came up on the witness stand, would you agree that testimony is truthful and accurate, and if you were to repeat it, it would be the same as it would be now that you're under oath?
Yes, sir.
All right. And on the third factor that we have to consider, that the variance would eliminate an unnecessary hardship and permit a reasonable use. What is the unnecessary hardship that you're looking to eliminate?
I would say the unnecessary hardship would be, being located where we are and not being able to capitalize on what we hope to do. We see this as a good opportunity, a good business opportunity for, good reputable businesses. And again, we view it as an opportunity for the county as well. But the hardship on us would be just an unrealized source of revenue.
And with respect to the first item, the not adversely affect public health and the rights of adjacent owners or residents, the variance, or not the variance, the Putnam County's ordinance is more stringent than what's in the state code. And I believe Mr. Call went over that during his presentation. Is there something unique about our ordinance that you think is inconsistent with the code, or is there a reason why we as a board should not defer to the county in their judgment that they've chosen to be more consistent than the code? And why should we as the board essentially second guess that?
Well, so first of all, the county definitely is inconsistent with the West Virginia State Code. The code, I think it's 2922B 14 or 1202, I believe, mandates only 150 feet between LVL operators, and Putnam County mandates 600 feet. I would ask for the authorization to deviate from the 600-foot requirement by a very, very small amount. Again, 600 feet, and we're asking to operate within 575 feet of Kelly's hotspot. So the ask is, or the request is relatively small in terms of physical space. You know, I understand the county certainly obviously has the right to mandate the spacing requirements that it chooses, but in this instance, you know, we certainly see no harm, you know, and I should back up here as well. We see no harm based on the fact that it's not much of a variance in terms of physical space, and also because the business that we're close to, Kelly's Hotspot, I mean, I would argue that they serve very different clientele than we potentially would. Our clientele most likely would be, you know, more transient, I think, than Kelly's Hotspot. So in this instance, I think the variance is appropriate for that reason. The requested variance is appropriate for that reason as well.
Any questions from other board members?
No.
You good? All right. Mr. Davis, I think that's all the questions we have for you at the moment. So you can return to your seat.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Are there any other representatives of the applicant who wish to address the board? Seeing none, are there any members of the public who would like to comment on the application?
I'm from Kelly's, though.
Well, you're considered a member of the public, so,
I'll sign up to speak.
yes.
I'll keep it brief.
If you could come forward and have a seat, and then you'll be sworn, and then provide your comments.
Seriously.
And please state your name.
Sarah Smith.
All right, Ms. Smith?
So I'm the Vice President of Design and LVL Amusement for AB Contracting. We have the 10 LVL locations, 3 of them which are in Putnam County, which are Kelly's Hotspots.
And LVL is Limited Video Lottery, right?
Correct.
Okay.
So the current one that they are close to, less than the 600 feet, is Kelly's Hotspot 4. It's located at 4161 State Route 34, Hurricane, West Virginia. And it is less than the 600 feet. We are requesting that you deny the special variance as it would directly affect our business income. We see approximately 40 truckers come through our business monthly. So they are transients. We have regular customers too, but that is part of our income. There's also different violations with the combustible fuel, et cetera, with lottery rules and county rules. So we tried to get a variance from a C1 to a C2, and Putnam County would not work with us at all in Hurricane, which was not incorporated in Hurricane. But we do have 3 hotspots, and we have been upstanding business people. We purchased these in February 1st of 2019 from Kelly McGilton. They've been in operation since 2011 under her care, and previously before that was Junior Higginbotham, her father. That's all I have.
All right. Any board members have any questions? Hang on, Mr. Smith, Ms. Smith, we might have a few questions for you. Any board members have questions for Ms. Smith?
None.
Where, you said that you get about 40 truckers monthly. Do they park down there, or?
They walk up because our parking lot where our dumpster is basically almost adjoined with like 10 foot of grass between their parking lot and ours.
Okay.
We sit right behind Five Guys Burgers. We're kind of hidden.
Yeah. That was the old dollar
That's it.
bills back in the day, if anybody remembers
Right.
that.
I remember.
Yeah.
All right. No other questions? Okay, thank you, Ms. Smith.
You're welcome.
Are there any other members of the public, which includes anybody other than the applicant, would like to speak? We have 2 other gentlemen in the audience. Would either of you like to address the board? All right. Okay, well then, having no other members of the public or members of the applicant or any other documents, we will need that map, Mr. Davis, to submit for the record.
Oh, yes, sir. I've just marked it Exhibit A. That's okay with the board.
Exhibit A? All right, and staff will take care of that. All right, so with that, I'm going to close the public hearing. All right. So now we'll discuss, the members of the board will discuss the application. Well, before I do that, I would entertain a motion by other members of the board to adopt as a factual record for our decision the documents that have been tendered, including the application and the testimony that has been given by the applicant's representative and members of the public.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Well, hang on. So moved. Can I get a second?
Second.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Motion carries. So, all right. So with respect to the application, and by the way, for the folks that are here, thank you very much for your patience. We apologize for keeping you all late this evening, but there was very unusual circumstances on our roadways out there this evening. So again, I apologize for the delay, but at least we did manage to get this on the docket for this evening. So with respect to the four, let's just walk through those elements. Each of you should have a worksheet in your packets. So the first criteria is that the variance will not adversely affect the public health, safety, or welfare, or the rights of adjacent property owners or residents. We have at least one member of the public that has opposed the variance, and that member of the public is maybe, looks to be adjacent. If not adjacent, they're within the 600 feet limitation that's established by the zoning ordinance. And according to Ms. Smith's testimony, her concern is that the granting of the variance will adversely impact her business, because she apparently, they get folks that visit the truck stop that go up to the hotspot location. We don't have any other members of the public who have commented, and there were no written letters opposing the application. So, with respect to the variance adversely affecting rights of adjacent property owners, I think based on the testimony that we have, which I have no reason to doubt, the variance would likely adversely affect a property owner within the 600 feet. That's my thought, independently. But you two gentlemen will be the ones that will decide this, because I only vote if there's a tie. So it's not just up to you, but that's my thought, and I throw that out for discussion among you two.
Well, so we have an issue here of the properties being somewhere between 25 and 90 feet apart. And we're looking at 600 feet according to the ordinance. And then according to state code, which has been cited already, they look at 150 feet. It's the opinion of this member that the 25 to 90 feet is reasonable enough. It's not too close to me, and it's reasonable enough that I would say that the variance will not adversely affect adjacent property owners. So I would be a yes on criteria 1.
Mr. Mick?
I tend to agree with that.
I just don't think that's the 75. I just tend to agree with that I don't think that it would adversely affect the business.
All right. Any other discussion on criteria, the first criteria?
Nope.
No. All right, let's move to the second. Variance arises from special conditions or attributes which pertain to the property for which a variance is sought and which were not created by the person seeking the variance. I invite your thoughts on that criteria.
Well, I kind of rely a little bit on the testimony that we had, but I also would say that, from my view, I think with there being such a huge difference in the county ordinance and the state code, and also, I mean, we don't go out there and measure the distance between buildings every day to see what they are when we're trying to develop new revenue opportunities. So in that case, I do not think that that there were special conditions which were not created by the person seeking the variance. I'm a yes on that one.
Okay. One other thing I wanted to bring up, we do have the petroleum aspect of the ordinance, but there's limitations on that as well. It's not just the distance. So we want to make sure that that's part of the consideration.
On that one, it's our understanding, based on our packet, that state code has an allowance for LVLs in truck stops. With this being a truck stop, I'm going to rely on state code and say that it would be permissible in this particular instance.
Mr. Mick?
Yeah, I think I'm also going to rely on state code in this particular instance.
Okay. Then we'll move to the third. The variance would eliminate an unnecessary hardship and permit a reasonable use of the land.
I would be a yes on that one. I mean, I think it's beneficial for the business owner to be able to capitalize on their location and increase their sources of revenue. I'm a yes.
Mr. Mick?
Yes.
Right. Then the last criteria is that the variance will allow the intent of the zoning ordinance to be observed and substantial justice done.
I think based on state code, this falls within line of that, and also the distance between the buildings. If it was a much shorter distance, I think there'd be a more to consider here, but with it being really close to the 600-foot line, I'm a yes on that one.
Mr. Mick, any comments?
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. All right, so for the four criteria that we've gone through, we have at least two of the three board members who have indicated that they would find each of those four criteria to be satisfied in the affirmative. That would be necessary to approve the variance request. Any other discussion on the applicable criteria? Nope, hearing none, I would invite a motion by one of the other members as to whether to approve or deny the application.
I'll move to approve the variance application.
Is there a second?
Second.
Right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Right, motion carries by 2, and since there's no tie, I will not be voting. All right, so now we move to the next application, which is the application for a special permit, which would be necessary given the nature of the business. And the criteria for the special permit are in a different chart in our packet. Trying to find it. All right. So there are 8 criteria for us to consider with respect to the special permit request. Before we start walking through each of the criteria, is there any discussion that the other board members would like to have? Nope. All right. First criteria, the use will not discourage the development or impair the value of the surrounding and adjacent land and use districts.
I see that as being true. I mean, this is a C2 zone. The type of business that they're wanting to do is not near any kind of schools or churches, things of that nature, so I think that one's true.
Mr. Mick?
True.
Next criteria, concentration and volume of vehicles in connection with the use will not be more dangerous or hazardous than the usual traffic of the use district.
It's already kind of in a high-traffic area, but this particular use, I don't think is going to increase traffic to where it would be any kind of hazard. They already have transient people coming in and out of there, and so it's true for me.
Mr. Mick?
True.
Right. Next criteria, proposed use will not produce a negative impact upon the abutting or surrounding properties and zoning uses given the characteristics, size, location, intensity, and nature of the proposed use and any structure.
Like we discussed on the variance, I don't think there'll be a negative impact upon abutting or surrounding properties based on what we've talked about with the distances. And zoning uses, given the character, size, location, and intensity, I think it fits in with the building that they're in, so I'm true on that one.
Mr. Mick?
True.
Next criteria, location, extent, arrangement, and intensity of the proposed use is to be such that its operation will not be objectionable to adjacent and surrounding uses by reason of noise, smoke, dust, odors, fumes, vibrations, or glare.
The LVL type business is going to be within an existing building, and therefore none of that would ring a hazard, so I'm going to be true on that one.
Mr. Mick?
True.
Next criteria is the use, arrangement of, and location of uses and structures must be compatible with surrounding uses and zones or is capable of being made compatible through the imposition of conditions.
I feel like it's compatible with the surrounding use and zones. Again, it's in a C2 commercial, no nearby housing or anything like that, so I'm true on that one.
Mr. Mick?
True.
Next criteria, the use and structures is not detrimental to the health, safety, and welfare of the locality involved.
I don't think there's any detrimental things to the health, safety, or welfare of the locality involved. I think it fits in with the surrounding area just fine, so I'm true on that one.
Mr. Mick?
True.
Next criteria, the use and structures conform to the purpose, intent, and objectives of this zoning ordinance.
Yeah, I think based on just kind of the things we've already gone over, I see nothing that doesn't cause it to conform to the purpose, intent, and objectives of the zoning ordinance. I'm true on that one.
Mr. Mick?
True.
Last criteria, the proposed use is properly located in relation to any adopted master plan, general plan, land use plan, thoroughfare plan, or street plan, particularly in its relation to existing collection and local street systems and pedestrian circulation.
Nothing in all of the criteria that we've considered would violate any anything in the master plan and land use plan, et cetera, that was just listed, so I'm true on that one.
Mr. Mick?
True.
Any other discussion of the criteria for the special permit?
No.
Hearing none, I would invite a motion on whether to approve or deny the request for a special permit.
I'll move that we approve the request for the special permit.
Is there a second?
Second.
All motion carries 2-0. All right. I believe that concludes all of the,
I know we did that. Your call.
well, so we have motions approving the two applications. I will invite a motion to approve the findings of fact made in support of the decisions to grant both requests, both
So-
applications.
So moved.
Can I get, is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Okay.
There are also, there are also orders relative to, for you to sign relative to both requests.
All right. So there's,
I was just going to make a motion I'll move that the presiding officer sign and approve the order, authorize him to sign the order.
would you like to see the proposed orders? I'll need to write in there, whichever.
Thank you.
So as I understand, the motion is to authorize the chair to insert the words approved into the blank spaces of each of the draft orders and sign them.
That motion is correct.
All right. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, and as the chair, I have executed the proposed orders indicating approval of the applications. That concludes the board's consideration of the agenda items, at least the applications. We will move next to the staff report. Other members of the public and the applicant, you are welcome to stay for the remainder of the meeting, but you are certainly not required to. So you may make your way to the exit if you like, or again, you're welcome to stay if you like.
As far as the staff report is concerned, is just as we discussed earlier prior to the meeting, we are scheduled for next month, December 12th at 6:30 to hear a sign variance request.
A sign variance, okay? All right. Anything else on the staff front?
That's it for us.
Okay? Are there any unfinished business we need to tend to? All right. Is there any new business? Hearing none, I will invite a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned.